There is an epidemic of conservative men trying to bait and switch strong progressive women into being with them. And I know I'm not the first person to talk about this, but I'm just going to share with you a conversation that I had today. So a couple nights ago, I was back on dating apps, and honestly, that's on me. I usually have them turned off, but I was curious. So I took a peek and I matched with a guy, and we started talking. And in my bio, I have listed that I have very high standards for men these days. I say that I have worked really hard to build a life that I'm really happy with, and I'm really only interested in meeting men who are willing to meet me on my level. I also have in my bio, absolutely no MAGA. That's the exact wording. I'm very clear about it. So we start talking, and he asks me about these high standards of mine, and I said, well, I could share them all with you, but it might scare you off. And he said, send them to me, I can handle it. So I did, and there are probably 40 items on this list. One of them, by the way, is that I'm looking for a liberal or leftist guy. And some of these things on this list are things that I'm willing to be a little flexible on. Some of them are really hard limits, but they're all things that I'm looking for in my ideal man. So he responds and says, okay, I can agree with you on most of those things. And I said, okay, which things don't you agree with? And he said, oh, it's not that I don't agree. It's just that I have a couple questions on a couple things. And I said, ask your questions. Go ahead. Let's hear them. And he sent me his questions about a couple specific things on the list, and I answered them as fully as I could. And then he sends me this. Surely you jest. What on earth gave you the impression that I was into being a traditional wife? What about my bio? What about everything on that list? What about just the way I've been talking to you, sir? Mind you, this man's bio says that he's the total package, which I was already heavily skeptical of, but I thought I'd give him the benefit of the doubt. Says that he cooks and cleans and takes care of the house and his cat. So it's taken him a whopping 15 minutes to reveal that's a total lie, and that he's looking for someone to do all these things for him. So I tell him that I have zero interest in being a 50s housewife or someone's bangmaid. I said that I'm very independent. I own my own home. I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of hobbies. I'm reiterating what I said in my bio at this point, but I said that I'm very ambitious, and that's not what I'm looking for. And I'm more than willing to do half the laundry and half the cleaning and half the cooking, but I want someone who's a true partner. And then this happens. And then he stopped responding, which was a little disappointing. I was kind of interested to see how much farther down his throat he could stick his own foot. But I was disgusted by this. This isn't the only time I've had a guy like this try to dupe me into being with him, and I've gotten faster and faster at sniffing them out pretty darn quickly. But I just never cease to be amazed that these men think, what, we're gonna fall for them and give up all of our goals and standards and ambitions to be with this person, to be with a man? What? I could live 1,000 lifetimes and not want to spend one of them cleaning up after a man. Absolutely not. I am incredibly smart. I am incredibly driven. I have so much going for me in my life. If the choice is between be with someone and cook and clean and do their laundry for them all the time and be on my own, there's no competition here. It's not even a choice. I am perfectly happy on my own. Why would I give that up to be your maid and your mother? Absolutely not. Get out. I don't know what these men are after. I don't know why there are so many of them and why they seem to be increasing in number. I don't know why they think they're being so sneaky. They're not. It's actually quite easy to figure you out and what you're after. I don't know why you think we're going to fall for you, but it's just a really unsettling, pretty disturbing trend that I know many other people have noticed. And I don't really know what to do about it, but just wanted to put my experience out there.
I need to know, what is it? Why do conservative men always want liberal women? When I'm going through my Hinge and seeing who's liked me, I would say if there was 10 people who had liked my Hinge profile, 8 of them would be openly conservative on their profile, and the others would either have nothing or be moderate. Like, I have liberal on my profile for the sole purpose of like trying to weed any of that out. And I know they're seeing it. I know they're seeing that it says liberal, so I'm just confused. And is it like, are you trying to like fuck with me, or do you think you have a chance? Like, and don't even come in the comments being like, it's not that deep. It's not that. I just don't understand what it is though. Why are you so drawn to me? Like, maybe you could let me know if you want to like learn, if you want to become educated, I can help you out, babe. But if you just want to like try to make things work for fun, no.
Dear women who are considering leaving your husbands because your husband is happy about what's happening in our government right now and you are super sad, let's talk. You wanting to leave your husband is not a political issue. This is an issue about your values. You care deeply about marginalized people, bodily autonomy, the immigrants that come into our land, and all the people that look and act different than you. You care about them, and that is commendable. You understand that the policies that are enacted in our country impact real humans' lives. You want everybody to be able to live how they want to live as long as they don't harm others. You want to protect people. And you currently look at our government and see our government as oppressing people, and you want it to stop. Rightly so. Now, your husband is approaching politics from a different perspective, one that prioritizes what benefits him personally or aligns with his faith only over the broader impact of other people. He's focusing on what's best for him versus what's best for the entire country. You, however, have empathy. You can recognize clearly when you see someone acting like a bully, being an oppressor, being an abuser, discriminating against people, taking away constitutional rights. You see through the lies and manipulation of our current administration. You can see that he's a con artist, an entertainer, a mobster, whereas your partner sees him as this great leader who can be trusted. Your partner probably actually loves that he has no decorum or decency. He somehow thinks that that's authenticity when it's not. You are watching your husband that you love support somebody in something that feels morally wrong to you. And when you see your husband not be able to put himself in other people's shoes and have empathy and recognize an oppressor, it causes you to lose respect for him. And nobody wants to have sex with somebody they don't respect. So I'm going to ask you 5 questions for you to reflect on. Number 1, can you still respect your husband knowing that he supports leaders who harm the people you advocate for? Number 2, do you feel emotionally safe expressing your concerns to him? Or are you dismissed and just told to trust the process or trust God? Number 3, when you share your fears with him about the country, does he try to understand your perspective or does he shut the conversation down? Number 4, can you build a peaceful life together without constantly suppressing your pain, your frustrations, your values? And number 5, if nothing about his worldview and values ever change, will you be able to stay in this marriage without resentment? Let me be clear. This is not about trying to change your husband or make him see things your way. It's about asking yourself, can you thrive in a relationship where these differences exist? If the disconnect between you guys is too fundamental for you and staying means sacrificing parts of yourself and losing respect for him, then the relationship will never work. Is this marriage still a place of love, respect, and emotional safety for you? Because you deserve to be in a relationship where your values, your activism, and your empathy are not just tolerated, but understood and respected. But only you can make that decision.
So my fiance and I were having a discussion about why conservative men tend to go after liberal women.
Hi, I'm fiance.
I wanted to bring the discussion to you guys because he had some really interesting points. His first point was that conservative men tend to view women as objects, so their political beliefs don't really matter. They're trying to meet an end goal, which is having a woman as a homemaker and as a resource to you. Another point he brought up was control and manipulation. Conservative men view liberal women as a challenge, and I'm going to let him finish the thought.
I believe that conservative men can specifically target liberal women as a challenge to shift their political ideologies.
And the last point that he said was the parallelism between fear and love in religion.
So in the scope of Christianity, you would hear Christians talk about how much they love God, but how much they also fear God, where fear is defined by love, or love is defined by fear.
That was very well said, babe. All 3 of those were super interesting points, so tell me your thoughts in the comments. Are you ever in a relationship like that? And if you find this discussion interesting, make sure to hit all the buttons.
I fell down the rabbit hole of why conservative men froth at the mouth for liberal women, so you don't have to. Across all the internet discourse I saw, there are two prevailing theories that kind of work in tandem. Number one is the cage bird theory. The idea that, well, conservative men hate women, which, no-brainer. And what they really want is a pretty free bird so that they can put her in a cage. Translate that however you will. Which right off the bat makes complete sense. But the other theory is also very interesting and 100% believable. And it essentially boils down to the fact that conservative men have set the bar too high for what conservative women should expect from men. Because conservative women, they now want the tough, stoic, hypermasculine, provider, male, blah, 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 all that nonsense. That's what they want in a man. The conservative men of today, they can't live up to that. They can't even reach halfway to that. Like, in this economy, dude, these are 50-50 bros. But liberal women, they're not necessarily looking for all that in a man. So they like it because liberal women aren't going to expect as much out of them that the conservative men are going to expect out of women. They want a traditional, placated, stay-at-home, bang-maid wife. Liberal women, they don't really, generally speaking, they're not looking for that same strict, hypermasculine, dead-inside, cold stone provider nonsense that the right keeps spouting. Now, it always fails in the end because liberal women don't want to be infantilized, adult children for their husbands. And also because the men do not have the EQ required to be with a liberal woman. And this all explains why the male loneliness epidemic is so prevalent, particularly with young men of my generation, Gen Z. You have a vast divide, the biggest divide in recorded American history of men and women in terms of their political beliefs. Women far more left. Men, a bit more of a 60-40 split. So even the, 10% of Gen Z women who are conservative, the conservative men don't appeal to them. And those conservative men don't want to put in the effort to make it to meet those standards. And the liberal women certainly do not want a conservative man. Women, generally speaking, care much more about their partner's political affiliations and political alignment within the relationship than men do, because politics has a much greater impact on women. So that means in the Gen Z dating pool, 40% of the men are viable on the outset, just based on, politics. And then you have to work inward from that based on all of the other factors that go into deciding a mate. And 60% are on the outset immediately, which does kind of track, because what is it, like 2 out of 3 men under 30 or under 35 are not or have never been in long-term relationships, something like that. And you can see this because now men, young men, hide their political beliefs for as long as humanly possible. They disguise it as being moderate or apolitical or not really focused. When in doubt, that is usually a red flag for Republican, MAGA Republican. And women start to see through that very quickly. So even they know that their politics are not attractive at all. So this now means that our generation, by having the most basic and rudimentary ethical and moral foundations, a liberal man gets the cream of the crop, which is all right.
The conservative women that I've met in my life are, for the most part, very basic, very bland, very boring.
This video goes on to talk about how conformity affects the dating pool. And conformity is oftentimes a topic that is encouraged in conservatism, but also in religion. As someone who grew up in a very Mormon household, I know that when I was Mormon, I felt the pressure to act or dress or look or speak a certain way. And part of that was influenced by cultural pressure, but part of that was influenced by policy. Mormons have to dress more modestly. Mormons can't drink certain things, can't say certain things. I mean, I'm sure you all know what the Utah Mormon girl looks like. She's got a spray tan, she's got bleach blonde hair, she's got those wave crimps in her hair. She wears the specific type of Utah Mormon dresses. And similar things happen throughout Christianity in the United States. Conservatism promotes the idea of we're all one unit. We all look the same, dress the same, act the same, talk the same, we're one unit. Whereas liberal policies tend to promote diversity or self-expression. So when dating, if guys are looking to date a unique girl or a not like other girls girl, oftentimes they're gonna be looking towards liberal women. Women who are feminists, secure in themselves, women who express themselves, have hobbies, even though they know that they don't morally align with all the same things that those women believe in. I also think that the idea of conquest kind of comes into play, where men just assume that they can convince a woman to change her mind and are oftentimes successful. Speaking from experience yet again, when I was dating conservative or MAGA men, I tended to keep my opinions to myself. I tended to be quieter. I tend to agree with them more. Men assume that either all women think the way that they do, or that they can get women to think the way that they do, and are oftentimes successful. They like the idea of claiming territory over a woman, but more so like the idea of molding that woman to fit their ideals. I saw another video recently that talked about how men aren't naturally protectors, they're just naturally territorial, which I think is a fantastic way to explain the way that men operate throughout society, because when we see women in crisis, you don't oftentimes see other men rushing to their aid and acting as a protector. But the second that their girl is in danger, then they feel the need to be a protector. Or the second that their girl is getting hit on at a bar or has their drink spiked, they feel the need to be a protector. It's because they're territorial over what is theirs, rather than being protective over women as a whole. But ultimately, conservative ideals are founded in patriarchy. And so men, specifically white, cisgender, heteronormative men, will continue to be conservative.
Can someone tell me why the fuck conservative men pursue liberal women? I was going through my TikTok notifications last night and I saw a new request. And I get requests every so often. It's usually people who want to paint me, draw me, which is a scam. And then people, older men who just want my bank account info. And I never respond. They just sit in that request. And I saw a message from someone who I recognize. And I recognize this person because whenever I posted my video of where do 25 to 35-year-olds go out in St. Louis, this man took it as in I was looking for men. First off, men, not interested. I'll tell you what he said first. Okay. I saw you at Ballpark the other night, but I was really nervous to talk to you because I recognize you, but you don't recognize me. When he first made comments on that one video, my original video, my friends clocked it right away. They go, oh my God, they were like giving me shit, you've got a new lover. And then he made other comments saying like, hey, I'm going to be at this bar on one of my other videos. I'm going to be at this bar at this time if you want to see me tonight. Never talked to this man in my life. I don't mind if people know where I work. Honestly, I love it. I work in promotions and sales. I don't like is this man sending me this message and thinking it was going to get him somewhere. My friends looked him up. Cop, Blue Lives Matter. We have nothing in common. If you have looked through all my videos, you would know I'm a liberal. And by looking at your profile, having at first it was military, and then it was a photo of his face when I went to block him. Why are you trying to pursue me? In today's political climate, it's not just, oh, we disagree on politics. It's life or death, and we're living in a dictatorship. Conservative men, I do not get it. I don't understand why they pursue these liberal women. I mean, I get why people go after strong, independent women, but this I don't understand.
Is it just me, or do conservative men have a liberal kink? And hear me out. I'm 37 years old, I'm single, and I'm very liberal. It states that on my profile. People know that within 15, 20 minutes of meeting me. It's not something I shy away from. I'm an activist in my community. However, I'm constantly encountering conservative valued men who are intrigued by me and want to continue conversation, knowing we have nothing in common, knowing very clear and upfront that that's a boundary for me. I'm curious what other people's thoughts and experience with this is, because I've talked to other liberal women and they're telling me the same thing. I need someone to dissect it. What's happening?
The reason conservative men go after liberal women so much is because it is trophy hunting. They are wanting to put the bird in the bird cage and get on a podcast and say they're the ones that did it. Okay, conservative men love to be the type that when they do get a liberal woman, and even if that liberal woman is like, oh, I don't want kids, they then kind of like whittle them down over the years or baby trap them themselves just so they can say on a podcast to other men, yeah, no, she didn't want kids, but I convinced her to. I finally convinced her to, yeah. Because that's the thing about conservative men. Their accomplishments are a personal trophy show for them. Instead of their accomplishments being accolades that kind of show their experience in an area and their expertise in it, and they're proud of the work and the expertise, instead they're just proud over the fact that, oh, I have this accolade I can hold over another man's head now. Because that's the way they view everything. They view everything as a trophy hunt in a game. It's been that way for decades, probably longer than that. I mean, look how old the patriarchy is. Conservative men will tear down other men far before a woman even gets a chance to say hello, okay? You want to talk about the most toxic people to ever exist? It is a group of conservative men who are trying to one-up each other. They will do the most heinous shit just so they can say they did it to another man. They do not do shit for personal accomplishment. Even the shit they do for personal accomplishment is to sit there and go, hey, I did this self-growth thing. You should do it because I'm better than you now because I did this hard thing. It's the same cycle that just repeats over and over again. They see the pretty bird. They want to be the one who put the pretty bird in a cage. And on top of that, they also want the emotional benefits of having a liberal partner over a conservative partner. Like, they want the woman to be the type where it's like, oh, I, the man, have restricted every single thing you loved about yourself. I've taken away your artwork, your creativity, your personal space, your personal time. I've taken all of these things, but now I'm really sad. So I want you to listen to me and my problems because no one ever listens to me. It's the same shit. They want a pretty bird in a bird cage that will clean their house, do their laundry, and listen to their hard day at work.
Good thing most women don't want to date Trump voters. Men who love Donald Trump struggle on the dating market.
Oh, 100%. If we see a man who says he's conservative, it is an automatic swipe left. It does not matter what he looks like. And me personally at this point, if I see a man listed as moderate as well, it's usually a swipe left too. Because we all know what that usually means now. I think the fact that conservative men absolutely refuse to listen to women when we try to explain to them why we don't want to date conservative men, and then they choose to proceed to be conservative, and then immediately complain that they're confused as to why women don't want to date them, and they don't know why, is an ironic perfect embodiment of like the lack of critical thinking and self-awareness. You know, like the ability to step outside of your own experience and listen to others, that the Conservative Party embodies as a whole, making a lot of women like me not want to date them. And a lot of this is trending in the news right now because the Conservative Party is about to launch their new dating app called The Right Stuff, in which I'm willing to bet every penny that I've ever made that the usership of this app is going to be about 90% men and 10% women with Lynn as the second part of their name. And I know the immediate complaint is always, y'all are so close-minded to anything, which embodies a lot of irony coming from the right alone. But that's not true. One of my best friends used to be moderate, and our friendship ended for different reasons, kind of. But a lot of his close friends were conservative men, so anytime I would go hang out with him and hang at the house, you know, there were a lot of those guys around. And we'd all hang out and get along really well and talk about a lot of these topics very respectfully, and I really value all the conversations we had because they were great guys to have conversations with. To the point where I almost got drinks with one of them to hang out and catch up not too long ago. But when it comes to a partner or a life partner especially, those things become exponentially more important to have in alignment. At the end of the day, if you're someone who's voting against my rights and my family members' rights, that means that you don't think that we deserve to have the same rights as you. And I would never date someone who doesn't see me and my family members as equals. That's also why I never called those guys directly really my friends. But I constantly heard them making the same complaints because when we would hang out, right, we would like pass our dating apps back and forth and compare with everybody. And they were always so confused because they were like, how do you get so many matches and we're lucky to get like 5 in a week? And I was like, yeah, you're all really good looking. And I don't really see this from my other guy friends. Like they get a decent amount of matches here and there. But my other guy friends lean towards the left end of things. So I hate to say it, but your dating pool is going to be significantly more limited, and if Tammy, Lynn, and Ashley aren't your type, I don't know what to tell you. You're probably not going to get a ton of matches.
By now, everyone has seen or heard of the fact that conservative men are struggling in dating in this political climate. Here's a fucking thought. Change your mind. Be open to changing your mind. It's not that deep. I know mommy and daddy will be very upset if you so much as open your mind even slightly, but it's okay. It's okay. So here's a couple of takes on this. Number one, there's a lot of girls stitching saying if that they see that a man is conservative on a dating app, it's a double right. And I have a one up on that. If I see if a man is a double C, I call it a double hit, a Christian conservative, fuck no. Because that doesn't happen overnight. That goes to show me that you come from a long line of Christian nationalists who are on board with Project 2025. That's immediately what I jump to. That tells me it's not just you, it's me, because we would not get along. I would open my mouth and you'd be leaving the dining room table. It's all right. It's all right. We'll just move along. Number two, these men don't even know what they believe. They don't even know what they believe. I saw a quote the other day, can't even remember where I heard it, but it was someone saying that there's a difference between what you are taught and what you believe. And I find that through and through with these conservative men. These conservative men oftentimes have no idea what they even believe in, because I no longer argue with people on either far side of the aisle because they're just too far gone. So what I do is ask, why? Why? What policies, what procedures, what evidence suggests that that was a good move have you found? That that's a good reason to do that? And they can never answer me. They can never answer me. Or the answer is solely lied and hating on the other side. So when you ask a conservative man about a policy and he talks about, well, fucking Joe Biden, fuck Joe Biden. I'm like, okay, yup. Joe Biden's a war criminal. Like, we get that. Like, he needs to be impeached. He doesn't even know where he is. He just Roombas around. We get it. But what will your side do to fix that? All of it. Always Hunter Biden, Nancy Pelosi, and Hillary Clinton. Like, can we just fucking get over that? My God. Oh, and Obama, too. They love that. But if your political opinion doesn't lie in research and or you can't back it up, come correct, stand on business with your political opinion, and or it lies in hating the other side, your political opinion is null and void to me. You literally, like, you don't even have a political opinion to me. You don't even get to have a political opinion. They're that political alliance because it is the alpha male thing to do. It is beta to be a liberal man. It is rooted in hating and control of women. And that is the only thing that they have to hold on to in that political alliance. Women are going to have political opinions. We're going to have strong ones. It's not the 1950s no longer, bruv. No longer. And I will not shut my mouth. I will never shut my mouth. And I will absolutely not shut my mouth for a man. We are out here begging men to take a look in the mirror. And they are not. And they will not. And this loneliness epidemic that your dick's not getting wet every other day is going to grow, okay? It's only going to get worse because we are going to shut this shit down. We're going to shut these legs for further business, okay? So you better get with it or get the fuck out because you're going to get lonelier and lonelier as a product of your own design.
Why do conservative men always try and date liberal women? A girl posted a video on TikTok about going on a first date with this guy, and on the first date, he told her that he lied about who he voted for in order to get her to go on the date with him. Because had he told her that he voted for Trump, he knew that she would never agree to go on this date. And so my question is, why is this such a common occurrence that conservative men will ask out or deliberately seek liberal, democratic women, knowing that we fundamentally disagree on just about all of the potential topics that we could even discuss? So I guess I'm just wondering, why not go for conservative women that you know are morally and just aligned with you religiously, politically, morally, whatever? Why not go for those type of women? Why go for the women that you know don't want anything to do with you? Just a thought. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. If you have thoughts on that, if anyone else has noticed it, because I definitely have.
I want to say something that I've heard us say indirectly, but I've never heard us say straightforward. For the liberal girlies with conservative boyfriends that think it's cute because, like, I love the gays, like, I love black people, it's just my boyfriend, he's a little. I want to let you know, not only are you not helping the problem, you literally are the problem. One of my favorite Martin Luther King quotes is, "In the end, we will not remember the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends." You are the largest perpetuant of the problem because you give these conservative men children and you put those children in danger. You put your potential queer children, your potential trans children, your potential son that dates a person from a different race. You put them in danger. You are just as much of the problem as anyone else. Cutting a dangerous ideology off from procreation is one of the most effective ways to kill that ideology. Limited access to someone like you should be the consequences of walking around the world with dangerous ideologies. But by getting you, we tell them that they can do what they're doing and still get the things they want. You make it okay. And particularly with white liberals that do this, I've noticed something. There is a longing to have moral high ground. White liberals have a longing to have moral high ground. And being in a relationship with these conservative boyfriends allows them to be better than someone. Christians do this a lot too. Who am I if there is nobody for me to be better than, right? And some of you really think that you can change them. And I know that feeling. Like, it's a real feeling. You're not being disingenuous with it. But I just want to tell you something. Look around the world. We are cleaning this shit out of America. It's hard, it's taking a while, but we're cleaning this shit out. That's why conservatives keep saying, you can't do anything, you can't say anything. They feel the pressure. They feel it. And I just want to tell you something. When that ship goes down, you're going down with it. There will not be any room for excuses. You are going down with it. Make a choice. Make a choice.
As a liberal woman, it is really hard to find a man who do have that more natural provider masculinity about them are normally conservative.
She wants him to give her the traditional.
I don't want to compromise my morals and values and not be confined or conform to the traditional female homemaker childbearing role
Thing, but she doesn't want to have the expectation of then fulfilling her end of that traditional role.
Yeah, it's one-sided responsibility.
What's that video that you're working on again? Female
privilege?
Yes.
Conservative men have been catfishing women on dating apps since you-know-who took office by putting on their profile that they are apolitical or moderate because they're having a hard time getting laid by being outright with their political beliefs.
But this is an interesting question. Why do conservative men not just date conservative women?
Sit your ass down, let's spill the tea. Because a lot of conservative values are deeply rooted within the patriarchy, within misogyny and bigotry. They're also founded on a lot of fundamentalist religious beliefs and their misinterpretations of the Bible, which is why we're seeing such a vast change in our lovely world and country where we don't have access to certain things we did in before because their religious beliefs somehow trump your right to your own body. But anyways, that's a separate video.
Because the whole structure of conservatism, I don't know, is built off historically rich white men, which I can check my bias. I'm a white woman. I have a lot of privilege. But they rose to the top by asserting their dominance, bulldozing the enemy, a lot of colonialism, not just in the US, but so many countries, which we're also seeing right now, modern day, gentrification, where there's areas in major metropolitan cities that were traditionally for different regions and people of color are now completely whitewashed and taken over because it's a land grab trying to get the most money. But again, that's a whole separate conversation. Back to the point. So because the US was built off of rich white men who have kind of taken whatever they want without really care or concern of how it affects people. We also know historically they have chosen partners who are convenient, who are more submissive, who don't rock the boat. And these are the ones they start their families with because on paper, they look good. On paper, they'll take the pretty picture, probably into the trad wife content, want to be Susie homemaker, and are probably okay with being a stay-at-home wife or stay-at-home mom. Which, not hating on that, there's nothing wrong with that, except for women are more disproportionately affected by financial abuse in relationships when they don't have their own income. So even if down the line they recognize the oppression that's happening, they can't leave it because their partner controls all the money and also probably controls them. How they speak, what they wear, who they talk to. I don't think people are directly saying this, but in a way, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Stepford Wives. I honestly feel like a lot of conservative men creating their Stepford wife. They're molding their perfect Barbie doll into the vision that they like on paper to build their life with. However, their secret fantasy is chasing and hunting down a liberal woman. Because she is wild. She expresses her needs. She takes up space. She is fucking loud. And she won't take your shit. And the fact that she's unavailable and unattainable makes that drive of desire that much more appealing. Because not only is she prey to chase, but if you capture her, that is the fucking prize. So that you can go back and say to your buddies, oh, look what I got. This hot thing, and see how I trained her. So I really think it plays into like the lack of control element, where liberal women, because they're outspoken, they take up space, they care about human rights, they don't give a fuck or entertain any of this shit. These men are not in control, but they want to be. Or the flip side is they have a lot of secret shame on their beliefs. Maybe the world that they were brought up in that they feel like they can't escape. And some of this is due to like where you grow up, like your environment, your community. Like think about it, somewhere in the South, if you are like the one liberal person surrounded by a bunch of conservatives, it's probably gonna be really hard to live your life truthfully who you are, just based on who's in your proximity. Yes, some people leave like their hometown to escape, to be somewhere that's very similar belief systems. That's why a lot of major cities have a lot of liberal people. You can see this on like the voter poll maps. But some of this can be like the suppressed desires coming forward of like working through the shame and the guilt that might be present. Like maybe I can't publicly have these beliefs, but if I'm with someone that has the beliefs that actually align with what I want, maybe I'm less of an asshole. And then coming back into the fantasy of it, which honestly I think is the most fun part. And I don't know if there's like actual research on this. I'm gonna do a deep dive later because I like to back shit up with receipts. Is I'm pretty sure there's a positive correlation between like sexual satisfaction in the bedroom with partners who are more vocal. And if liberal women are historically more vocal because they're not pacified by their partner, they're more likely to express their need and desires and have more votes. Because they're not afraid of rocking the boat. Now, regardless of political affiliation, I think everyone fakes those, and I'm here to try to change that. But in general, a liberal woman is probably more likely to be more exciting in the bedroom, more dynamic, more open to change, less rigid. However, based off search history on and also like the Grindr app crashing at like the RNC, and also like several Hulu documentaries, we know that conservative men are closet freaks. And these are the ones who are looking up trans. These are the ones who are paying for we're seeing a pro. And the ones who are engaging in their deepest, darkest fantasies that are so darkly closeted that publicly they speak against. And this video is getting a little too long, so let me know if you want me to break down any of these things. But long story short, most of them just want what they can't have. Let's break hearts. Love you.
The comment here was basically saying, why would they date liberal women if they don't agree with us? And that's the point. The conquering you is the point. Breaking you down is the point. And all abusers do this. I always say abusers are all very similar, just in different fonts. And this is just one of many of them. But they all have the same playbook. How do I break down and conquer somebody? How do I dominate and subjugate somebody? And what persona can I craft so that I can love bomb them more effectively? The love bombing is all tailored to the victim. It all depends on what mask or persona they put on for the victim so that they could gain access to that victim. Love bombing is more than just giving somebody gifts. It's grooming that person to trust you.